A very good morning, dear students. Welcome to e-learning classes of Sacred Hearts of Business Studies. Dear students, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the types of large-scale retailers, in which we have discussed about the departmental stores, its features, multiple shops, its features, and thereafter, third point, mail order retailing, its different procedure and the elements, and the last but not the least, we have discussed about the automatic vending machine, that is AVM, and its features. Dear students, today in our 46th lecture we are going to discuss about the last topic of the ninth chapter, that is GST, goods and services tax. In this, initially we will see the introduction and thereafter its features and the GST councils. So let us start about the introduction of GST. Dear student, GST was introduced in India with effect from July 2017. Under the earlier taxation system for indirect taxes, various types of taxes were levied, such as service tax, VAT, that is value added tax, and excise duty, etc. That means a lot of indirect taxes were there initially. Now, after the implementation of GST, what have been done? GST merged these taxes into one, and now all the taxes are merged into one, and that is named as the GST Goods and Services tax. Now, see the further meaning of the GST. GST is a tax on supply of goods and services. That means it is a tax that is simultaneously and on the same slab implemented on the goods and as well as on the services. Under GST, no distinction is made between the goods and services for levying of the tax. It will mostly substitute all indirect taxes levied on the goods and services by central and the state government of India. That means all type of taxes initially were imposed by the central government or by the state government are unified under the category of the GST. GST is a single tax at the national level to be levied at all stages, right from the manufacture to the final consumption. अगर हम लोग बात करें जीएसटी की, तो ये कैसा टैक्स है बेटा? नेशनल लेवल का टैक्स है, जो कि आपके मैन्युफैक्चरिंग से लेके कंजम्पशन तक डिफरेंट स्टेजेस पे डिफरेंटली क्या होता है? इम्पोज होता है, एंड हु सो एवर इज यूजिंग or consuming the particular element is have to pay the certain amount of tax, that is the GST. Now see further, under GST every person is liable to pay tax on his output and is entitled to get the input tax credit, that is ITC, on the tax paid on the in its inputs. That means whatever the output is there in on which whatever the output is there, you have to pay tax on that, and whatever the inputs you have used, whatever the amount of tax have been credited to that, that will be exempted later on. So this is the ITC, input tax credit. That means it is a sort of credit that will be later on will be paid to you again. So see the further about the GST. Some elements are given: comprehensive tax levy on supply, mostly substitute all indirect taxes, single tax levied at all stages, tax on value addition, and remove casting effect. Casting effect, that means the aviation of the tax. Now see further the features of GST. The very first one, the territorial spread of GST is in the whole country. That means it is implemented throughout the country, wherever the geographical boundaries are there of India. Second, GST is applicable on the supply of goods और सर्विसेज एज अगेंस्ट द प्रेजेंट कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ टैक्स ऑन मैन्युफैक्चर. अगर हम लोग बात करें जीएसटी की, तो जीएसटी आपका क्या है बेटा? गुड्स और सर्विसेज की सप्लाई पे क्या है? एप्लीकेबल है. नेक्स्ट, it is based on the principle of destination based consumption. It is based on the principle of destination based consumption. That means whosoever is using or utilizing will have to pay the tax. It is not like that only the manufacturer will pay the tax, but whosoever is utilizing the particular service, utilizing the particular good, will have to pay the tax. Next, there is no tax on the exports That means whenever you are exporting the good, you are selling the goods to rest of the world, there is no need to pay any type of GST. As well as whenever you are supplying your goods to the SEZ. And what is the SEZ? Special economic zones, the zones that have been created by the government, generally in the urban, generally in the rural or the semi-rural area, for the establishment of the industrial sector over there. These are considered as the SEZ. So whatever the supplies are to be done to the SEZ, on this the GST is exempted. Next, import of goods and services is treated as the interstate supplies and would be subject to the IGST. That means if we are importing the goods from the rest of the world, in that IGST will be applicable in addition to the custom duties. Custom duties are generally paid whenever the goods are purchased from the rest of the world. So the custom duty plus IGST will be implemented in that. IGST is the interstate goods and services tax. Now see further, there are three categories of the GST. First is CGST, Central Goods and Service Tax; IGST, Interstate Goods and Service Tax; and SGST, State Goods and Service Tax. All levied at rates mutually agreed. अब इन सब का एक certain rate है and the rate is mutually agreed upon by the center and states under the guidance of the GST Council. और ये जितने भी इनके taxation rates हैं आपस में, वो mutually decided हैं through the GST Council. Now the last feature of GST, there are 4 tax slabs, namely यहाँ पे अगर हम लोग बात करें GST में, तो यहाँ पे 4 tax slabs हैं. First is 5%, thereafter 12%, 18% and 28% for the goods and services. And there are some certain goods that are exempted from the GST that come under the category of the 0% taxation. Basically the essentials of life comes under the category of the 0% GST. Now the last topic in this, that is the GST Council. And in the GST Council, if we talk about the chairperson, then chairperson is the finance minister. Whosoever will be the finance minister, that particular person will be the chairperson of the GST Council. Second, vice chairperson is to be chosen amongst the ministers of state government. जो आपकी state government है, उसके जो ministers हैं, उनमें से आपका जो vice chairperson है, that is selected. Next, members, MOS and all ministers of finance of each state. Next, स्टेट हैज़ 2/3 वेटेज एंड सेंटर हैज़ द 1/3 वेटेज. जो भी जीएसटी काउंसिल की अगर हम लोग बात करें, तो यहाँ पे स्टेट्स के जो मेंबर हैं वो 2/3 होते हैं, और स्टेट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के जो मेंबर्स होते हैं वो क्या होते हैं, 1/3 होते हैं. एंड द लास्ट पॉइंट, दैट डिसीजंस आर टेकन by the 75% majority of the council, whosoever members are there, and for that taking of the decision 75% of majority is needed, and until and unless the 75% majority is not there, the decision will not be passed in the GST Council, and if it will be not passed, then it will be not implemented as the act in the country. This is all about GST. We have discussed today about the meaning and introduction of GST, thereafter the features of GST, and the last one, that is the GST Council and its components. This is all about today, as well as about the chapter. We have completed chapter number 9 over here. God bless. Lots of love.